Alright, looks like for this guy we need to figure out the sine, cosine, and tangent, if it's possible, of t, which is 11 pi over 6 in this question. So this is a angle on a unit circle. So step one would really be trying to locate that spot. And I really think it helps if you know how big 1 pi over 6 is. 1 pi over 6 is the same as 30 degrees. So if this is 0, imagine adding 30, and here's 1 pi over 6. Add another 30 degrees to get 2 pi over 6, although we usually reduce that and just call it 1 pi over 3. Add another one, becomes 3 pi over 6. That also reduces. Add another pi over 6 to get 4 pi over 6. Add another 5 pi over 6. Add another 6 pi over 6. And even though this seems a little tedious, I'm going to eventually get to this. So add another for 7 pi over 6, 8 pi over 6, 9 pi over 6, 10 pi over 6, and then finally here is 11 pi over 6. And now that I've located it, it's much easier for me to visualize. It's got the big x direction to the right. So 1's the biggest, but the next biggest, so here's where 1 would be. The next biggest is square root of 3 over 2, and since it's going to the right, it's positive. And I can see that it's got the small y value. So 0 is the smallest, but then the next smallest is 1/2. And since it's going down, that's negative. And so being able to determine this coordinate point here gives me 2 of the 3 answers really quick. The y value is going to give me the sine of that angle. The x value is going to give me the cosine of that angle. And then neither one of these give me tangent, and later in the year you might actually want to memorize some of these tangent values just because it speeds it up. But worst case is you can always do sine divided by cosine. Tangent is always sine divided by cosine, as long as you're talking about the same angle. So we can change this from dividing fractions to multiplying fractions. And we can reduce out a little bit. And with the unit circle stuff, we never leave square roots in our denominator, so we do need to rationalize, multiply the top and the bottom by the same thing. Gives us this on top, square root of 9 on bottom, but the square root of 9 reduces to be 3, of course. And then we have all 3 that they asked for.